Hello, my name's David. I'm about to give you a little introduction to the GCSE Combined Science course which we run at Long Road. Hopefully this will give you most of the information you probably need, but I'll end with an email address that you can contact me with if you want to know any more. There you go, introduction to GCSE Science. I'm actually the head of science, so I haven't taught this course, but I'm obviously responsible for the teaching of the course within the science department. So welcome to Long Road GCSE Science. Here's a typical view of the classroom. This is actually a physics class in action at the moment. You can see that it is quite different from what you might be seeing in your previous experience in schools. Much smaller size of classes in operation, so that's very useful for you to make sure you are able to engage and get as much teacher attention as possible in your studies. So why might you choose this course? Well, the first reason would probably be because your GCSE results didn't turn out quite as you expected. And that's understandable. There's all sorts of reasons why that might have happened. So we've got this course available for students who are hoping to continue their studies in science. So want to continue doing science courses at level 3. GCSE is level 2 and post-16 studies are level 3. But they haven't been able to get the results they needed to get onto the courses they wish to do. And so essentially they're taking a year with us in Long Road Science Department to make sure they can get their GCSE science results improved. Really important to recognise this is what we would all look on as a second chance, not a resit. I know it's just words, but the second chance is important. The idea of actually coming in with a clean slate, with new staff, a new environment, with a bit more of a focus on your studies really makes a massive difference to how well you do at the end of the course. As I said, an opportunity to get right back on track. Here's another picture of one of the science labs. Here's some students here actually being instructed in the use of quite an involved process in the chemistry lab. That's a Cambridge University medical student who has come in to help them do that. We do try and do things like that to keep up the interest in science and understand what people do in science outside of schools and colleges. So what you want to do is come into this course with a target, clearly, top line there, improve your grades and gain access to the level 3 courses which you want to study but haven't been able to access with the grades that you achieved. The key things here, if you've got 3 5s, so essentially 2 5s in science and a 5 in maths, you can enroll on the applied science courses. There's 2 types of applied science course at Long Road: the extended certificate, which is essentially one of your subject choices out of the 3, or the extended diploma. If you really want to do all science, you can do all 3 of your science. All 3 subjects can be science. Those are, of course, our BTECs, the new BTEC specifications. Or we do have some students who need to get 6s, so 2 6s in science and a 6 in maths, so that they can enter into a science A-level, physics, chemistry or biology. That's the entry grades required to do that. Really important for you to know, I've talked about wanting to have a focus and a goal for this course. Previous students, every single one of them has improved, so you've really got a fantastic opportunity to do that on this course, and we get a range of results. We've had students who've got 2 7s on the science course. We've got students who've got 2 4s. 2 4s, of course, is important for access to the 6th form courses at Long Road, so again that's been useful for them. Equally, great chance to take a new step forward into a sort of mature environment for studying. Great chance to make new friends. These girls didn't know each other before they came to Long Road. Great chance to take opportunities that you haven't taken before when you were in your previous school. This is a bit more detail, so not necessarily particularly exciting, this set of slides, but these are important bits. This is AQA we do, so if you have done AQA before, that's obviously quite useful. You'll probably know most of what sort of content we will cover. Equally, there's a link there to get onto the specification if you want to read it, which is always useful to make sure you know what you're letting yourself in for. It's the Combined Science Synergy course, so it's 2 grades. So this is not triple, it's 2 grades science, but that gives you access to A levels exactly the same way. There's a number of practicals that need to be completed for the course. They don't contribute, they're not assessed as the course, but they are important because in fact some of the papers, as you'll see in a minute, do ask questions about those practicals. So obviously if you've done them and understood them in class, that will really help. The course has got 2 sections essentially, life and environmental sciences and physical sciences. Sort of crudely put, this has got the biology, this has got the physics, and there's a bit of chemistry in both. You get 2 tutors, so you'll have 1 for each of these sections. So 1 tutor will be teaching you life and environmental sciences, and 1 will be teaching you physical sciences. Here's Ray doing the experiment. He's looking like he's probably maybe doing a cracking experiment there with oil. But again, that's a typical science lab in Long Road, and that's somebody obviously doing some practical work. Subject content in terms of details, we've got building blocks and down to explaining change in blue because those are the life sciences bit, and here's the physical in purple here with the key ideas. This is an interesting little picture. That's a picture of Rob taking a group of applied scientists into one of the labs on the science park. So you can see it all togged up in PPE, and looking forward to having a great time. You can get involved with that sort of thing when you come to Long Road. The weekly structure, again, weekly structure is quite important. You get 2 tutors, as I said, 1 for each section of the spec. That means you have 2 blocks of teaching in science. On the GCSE level 2 courses, you'd need 4 blocks filled. 2 of them would be in science, and you have to do both because it's double science. You get 3 lessons, 1.5 hours each from each tutor. So that's doubled, so you're actually getting 6 lessons, 1.5 hours each through the week. 1.5 hours might seem like a long lesson and a bit of a change from what you've done in school, but it works very well. There's plenty of time to do practicals as well as introductions and plenary work afterwards. It's usually split. Every lesson will be split into activities. You can't do one thing for 1.5 hours, so you tend to find that there's, say, 3 sections to a lesson: an introduction, some practical work, or an activity, and then a plenary, 1/2 hours each. And it works well. It's very effective. You generally be doing a practical a week, so you're not just doing written work all the time. We're very keen to make sure that you take learning from one lesson to another. I don't just think you just need to turn up to the lessons. So we have prep work, which is completed between lessons to make sure you're carrying forward your ideas and you know something about what you're about to do in the next lesson. There's also study work, problem sheets and readings to be completed during the week on your own, in your own study time. Each teacher will set a weekly homework. So again, a fairly rigorous system to make sure you're keeping up with the work and it's being assessed. There's also 2 lessons of Study Plus during the Long Road week. So these sessions have no teaching at all in the college. So your students can find teachers. They're not in any lessons, and so you can get one-to-one help with anything that you need help with. And we're expecting you to be doing self-study, so you're expected to be doing 4.5 hours. It's not possible to really write down how much you have to do, but we would expect that sort of number of hours to be you engaging in self-study outside of lessons to make sure your understanding of science is as good as it possibly can be. Again, I talked about getting involved. Here's some students from Long Road involved with a company called TTP, the Technology Partnership. They're actually designing a prototype system for injecting fat to reconstruct faces, which was quite an interesting day for them. You may have heard of them. These were involved with some of the recent work on trying to produce ventilators. Again, a bit of detail here, but this is what the exams are all about. 4 papers. Paper 1 and paper 2 are assessing the life and the environmental sciences part. So the topics 1 to 4, essentially. They're 1 hour 45 minutes. You enter higher or foundation tier, depending obviously on the level you're going for. The first one is multiple choice. short answers and is knowledge and application. The second one, same in every essence, except this is actually analysis and evaluation is the theme for this paper, and that's where the work to do with practicals comes in. I mentioned that there are some practicals you have to do before. This is where they ask the questions about it. Again, another project scheme up in the corner here. Some students, these are A-level physics students actually, but these sorts of projects are going all the time at Long Road. They're working with ARM on a project to produce anything they wanted. They're given a little microchip from ARM and told to program it and do something useful with it, and they produced a set of glasses which detect sound with a visual stimulus, so somebody who's hard of hearing would know from which direction the sound had come from. Paper 3 and paper 4, physical sciences are being assessed in these two. Same again, hour for 45 minutes, foundation or higher, multiple choice and structured with knowledge and application for paper 3, but on the second paper, evaluation, analysis and evaluation skills and the required practicals. So that's where that's assessed. Again, we get involved with quite a lot of local companies. Here's a bunch of students who've gone to visit the Welding Institute. Very high-tech joining together of metals is happening there over in the science park, but again helps them put their science into perspective. Resources and support, I mentioned Study Plus sessions. There's 2 of those every week. Last lesson on Tuesday and Wednesday. You can come into a science lab and the tutors who teach you will be available for any support that you need. You can obviously email tutors at any time. They'll respond back. Recently we're starting to use Teams as a remote learning platform, and that's very useful if you just want to have a chat for something you're having problems with at home. You might find you'll be able to get hold of your teacher and have a chat to them there and then, or at least you can send them an email and say, can we have a chat, and they'll get in touch with you. Other things we've done, attended lectures at Cambridge University, so front row, look, all smiling away. Yep, ready to be taught some very high level science in the Cambridge University lecture hall. So what is the main thing? Well, the main thing is you need to be keen and eager to take this, as I said before, as a second chance to do your very best. So you do need to have a goal. Worst case scenario is just to do this because you can't think of something else to do. Come on this course knowing that you want to do well in your science to get these grades to go on to do another course at level 3 because you want to progress on to this area in the future. That's absolutely essential. We'll help you with that in our enrollment interviews, and we can talk you through what the options are and where you possibly might be heading. College is nothing like school. I suppose that might be obvious, but it's a very much more mature environment. Everyone has chosen the courses that they are doing. Everyone has said they want to study them and committing to studying them, and we're here to support you in that studying. You need to be motivated to do the work, and clearly with those two together you'll get success. Interesting point here, because we know that when we get students onto our level 3 courses, either applied or A levels, the ones that have come through level 2 are some of the very best students we have, because they've matured, they've realized what's needed to be successful in their own personal studies. They've developed those skills over the year, and that is a fantastic thing to take on into A levels and applied, and further if you go off to do university courses or apprenticeships. Excellent. Other things you can do, well, expand your horizons. Cambridge is a massive university city with a massive biotech environment around it on the science parks. There's a load of things that you could get involved with. There's a couple of students who went to take part in a space competition, an international space competition. They were hoping to win and get a trip to Houston, but unfortunately they didn't. They're designing a satellite mining station. So this is a thing that will be in orbit around a planet to mine vital materials and minerals from the surface of the planet. So that was quite good fun. They enjoyed that. Again, meet some French students. Here's Vincent, physics teacher from Paris, who I met a few years ago. He's brought his students over to meet our students, do a meet and a greet, have a chat. They come into lessons and see what it's like over here, and you talk to them and they talk to you, and you find out what it's like going to school in Paris. And it's another picture of a lab just to show you some smiling physics students. I thought I'd put that in to make sure you realise people do enjoy it at Long Road. That's not a whole class, by the way. That's just a bunch of the year 2s who are quite pleased to be able to be standing there with our Einstein cutout. So I hope this has helped you get more information about what you could be doing on the GCSE course at Long Road. As I say, there's quite a lot in here, but you can look back through it, or if you want to, you can contact me. Here's my email, generic email for staff at Long Road. Do feel free to do that. Apart from that, thanks for listening, and looking forward to working with you in Long Road. Cheerio.